hopped up on Starbucks refreshers. It is episode number 8 of the Last Fan Standing Wrestling Podcast with Justin and Nick. We are going to have a pretty damn good show today, I'd like to think. We're going to be talking about the episode of Monday Night Raw that happened on April the 22nd. Also, just a reminder that we are going to have a guest today.
Hopefully
at some point.
Everything works right and the technology aligns.
Exactly. That our guest today is going to be Mr. Gabe Vinyls from the Dungeon Studio in New York. Now, just a couple of clerical things, I guess, before we get the podcast going. We have a Facebook page now.
We do.
We started up a Facebook page finally. We're like the last anything on the planet to have a Facebook page.
We decided to do that last because we're losers.
I guess pretty much. But we have a Facebook page which is entitled No Holds Barred Productions. So if you search No Holds Barred Productions on Facebook, you should find us. You should like us. We're going to be putting up all of our previous videos on that starting today. We'll be posting one a day. And so I think we'll go in chronological order there. We'll start with the first No Holds Barred and just go from there.
Okay.
So all of our previous podcasts and everything will be posted there. We've also, again, basically sort of rebranded ourselves as No Holds Barred Production Studio, I guess. And because we're not just a podcast anymore. We're podcasts and interviews and videos, and so we're the total
branching
package.
out and doing everything.
Exactly. We're going to branch out and do everything. We are the total package Lex Luger. Now, that's, I guess, probably all the clerical stuff we needed to get through.
I think so, yes.
Let's talk some wrestling.
Okay.
So, obviously, this is a couple of days late because of work schedules, and we apologize for that. But so we're going to start with talking about the episode of Monday Night Raw from April the 22nd.
First, let me start out by saying the opening to that show was the best opening that I've ever seen.
Really?
It was just Heyman staring at the camera, doing his "I got something to tell you" face.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that actually was pretty good.
And the camera kind of zooms out from his face.
Yeah, actually, that was really good. I had actually totally forgotten about that. Good call, sir. Yeah, that actually was really, really good because, fucking any episode of Raw or anything that starts with Paul Heyman's face is just like, okay, it's.
I tell you, just the
something
faces on that man that he can do. It's just awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty good. We'll put it that way. He's pretty good. The show opened with Paul Heyman out in the ring, and he was looking to get an answer from Triple H, who he thought wasn't there.
Yeah,
and it turned out, oh my God, look, he was there.
He was, and he was reading Heyman was reading the email that apparently Tripp sent him, and all of a sudden his music hit, and Paul Heyman was all like, surprise.
Yeah, he's like, you got me.
And it was funny when Triple H came out to the ring, because every time Triple H's back was turned to Heyman was just like, I fucking hate you, fucking hate you. And every time Trips turned around, he was all like, yeah.
He was like, yeah, that was a good one. So basically that's the way the show started, with a quick it wasn't a very long segment. It was maybe 5 minutes or something like that. Heyman talked for a little bit, and then Trips came out. And Trips accepted the challenge. He accepted Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar's challenge, which sets up Brock Lesnar versus Triple H Part 3. Inside a steel cage at Extreme Rules.
Should be interesting.
It should be interesting. And actually, the first question I wanted to ask there sort of is like, is this a match? Is this a match that we care about? Like, is this a match that we actually want to see? And I know I love asking that question to you because I know you're not a big Brock Lesnar fan, right? So
I'm not really, but anytime a match goes into a steel cage, I mean, you're pretty much guaranteed blood.
Right, especially hopefully, considering the two people that are in the match, they like to have hematoma fests
and I pay for blood.
No, we pay for blood.
For blood, that's right.
We paid for blood. That's a bit of an inside joke from when we went to the UCW Summer Explosion tour last summer.
That's right.
Exactly.
Hooray. We're going to the TCW show in Blockhouse.
You know what? Yeah, why don't we just sort of pause there and just remind you guys, Twin City Wrestling doing their debut show May the 11th at the Blockhouse Fire Hall in Blockhouse, Nova Scotia. $12 for tickets. and it's going to be a phenomenal wrestling show. Battle Royal for the first ever TCW championship. I would assume it looks like there's going to be a couple of stables there, so we're probably going to have some tag team matches, which is great. Love tag team wrestling. Get your advance tickets. There are Charlie's Pizza and Cleves in Bridgewater. Or get in touch with us. Email us at the podcast. We can get you in touch with the dudes with tickets, and
that's right.
Not a problem at all. We will be in attendance at Twin City Wrestling. We will be signing autographs at the booth, and
one can only hope.
One can only hope, and it's going to be a great show. Good job, Nick. I would have totally forgotten that.
DCW Blockhouse. Yeah.
Fire
Hall. Saturday, May the 11th. Be there.
Okay, so we're going to move on. The next major thing, anyways, that happened on Raw. R-Truth went over on Antonio Cesaro and went over on him clean.
And Cesaro was the type of person that for so long nobody could beat him.
Right.
He was the best of the United States champion. And
no, you got to do the fist pumps.
There, champion.
There you go.
And now he's just like me.
Yeah, he went from like, oh, no American can beat me, United States champion, to losing to R-Truth in the middle of the card. And look, I got nothing against R-Truth. I actually think R-Truth, Ron Killings. I actually think he's a phenomenal talent. If they would let him go, like if you go back and you look at some of his matches in TNA, his matches in TNA are phenomenal. Like because TNA let him go.
Yeah.
And it was just like, you do your thing because we know you're great. WWE kind of pulls the reins back on competitors in general a little bit. It's considered to be a softer style, but I still like R-Truth. I like what he does in the ring. But going over on Cesaro, and I mean R-Truth, I believe is 100% American. So Cesaro went from no American can beat me to he lost to R-Truth in a singles match. So I mean, okay, I didn't particularly like it. Like it's Cesaro's second loss on TV in a row, right? Because he lost the title to Kofi,
right?
And now he lost straight up to R-Truth. So like, what does that mean for Cesaro?
I honestly can't tell you. I mean, I don't know what they're playing, what game, but like the creative, but it got me baffled.
A little bit, like I don't know. It just it's to me it's just a strange sort of state of affairs that poor Cesaro, who is a great talent, by the way. Claudio Castagnoli is his actual name. And look up matches from Claudio Castagnoli on the indie circuit, and he is a great talent. Not that I'm saying that I'm like heartbroken that he lost the U.S. title, but I think they had a good thing going with him as U.S. champion. So I was just kind of surprised to see him. I was surprised to see him lose it to Kofi. And B, it just seems to me that it was a weird choice to have him lose to R-Truth. Like, do we think this is a push for R-Truth? Or is this just kind of sort of a one-off, whatever? They were looking for a dude to beat Cesaro and they just gave it to Truth. Like, do you think it's actually a push for R-Truth, or?
I like R-Truth as a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if really his character is one to be desired for with Little Jimmy and stuff like that.
I don't even think he's playing up the Little Jimmy thing anymore. Because he came out just like he did like 2 years ago. He came out and he rapped.
Yeah, no, it came out and he rapped.
Since when does R-Truth rap again?
I know, but he was still like kind of crazy, googly eyes and talking to himself.
That's true.
So, I mean, I don't really know if he's playing it up that much anymore or what's going on.
So what they basically seem to have done with R-Truth is they took, here in one hand is his character with friggin' Little Jimmy. In the other hand is R-Truth, like when he used to rap and come out with Eve Torres, who would do her little booty shake.
Yeah.
And creative just went...
Yeah.
And just put their hands together and just smushed them.
See what you could do with this.
So now he's a rapping psychotic.
Aren't they all?
I guess they are. Welcome to 2013 WWE, ladies and gentlemen. We have rapping psychotics. And the dude that's had the belt way too much.
Yeah. I mean, we got Cena, and he used to be a rapping psychotic.
That's true.
And he's probably going to make a return sometime.
At some point, I would imagine he would probably go back to his thug roots. He is, after all, the king of thugonomics, or the professor of the...
If and when he turns heel.
Yeah, if and when he turns... That's never going to fucking happen. Honestly, the John Cena heel turn is like the Sasquatch of professional wrestling. Yeah. Everybody thinks they see little bits of it, but it's just it's never.
Which I read a rumor going around. This was on Bleacher Report that that there may be a fourth member of the Shield.
It was actually on WWE's website, as well.
And people have been talking. Paul Heyman, he's been associated with the Shield, with he knows Roman Reigns and all of them.
Absolutely.
So they were talking, what if Punk leaving Raw, because they were paying the Shield for those things, was just a way of getting heat off him.
Could be.
When he returns, he's heel,
right,
and with the Shield.
That would be kind of interesting, because I'm sure if there's anybody that would be able to go in and be like, I'm the quote unquote leader of the Shield, it would be CM Punk. It would almost be like a straight edge society sort of thing again.
It would,
although they don't play up the straight edge thing at all. But
oh God, no.
Kind of a justice of CM Punk's Justice League. Right?
And he's the only guy for it.
Absolutely.
I mean, he was the only guy for the Undertaker,
right,
to do all those things, because nobody else in my mind would.
Right.
And he's the only guy that really fits with the Shield.
Yeah, absolutely. Although wouldn't that be like the ultimate kick in the minor testicles to all of John Cena's little fans if John Cena came out as the fourth member of the Shield?
Oh man,
I think it would be like, it'd be cool for like 5 minutes until all the wrestling smarks were just like, this doesn't make any fucking sense, and then away they go.
It's true.
But I mean, like, the article on WWE.com, and I'm actually really glad you brought this up. The article on WWE.com was like, what if the Big Show is the fourth member of the Shield? And I'm like, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
That doesn't make any sense.
They make no sense at all. It's like, what if it's Randy Orton? I'm like, that makes less sense.
Yeah, because they went after those guys.
Right. It's just like, it doesn't make any sense, guys. Or like they were like Ryback. I was like, how many times has the Shield beaten up Ryback?
Yeah.
It's got to be in the hundreds at this point. So, I mean, like, I don't know, like, none of that stuff makes sense. So Cena wouldn't even really make sense either. But, like, Punk, they've never gone after Punk. Never, not once.
Not ever.
Right? So, never ever. So, who knows? It could make sense. Be pretty cool.
We interrupt this version of the Last Man Standing podcast just to remind you that you can own your own version of Justin Robar, Pictures Taken Through His Bedroom Window, now on DVD version. It will come with a special surprise that you will learn about on the next No Holds Barred podcast.
So the next kind of stuff that sort of happened on Raw, and this was split up on the episode. It was in two different places. Brodus Clay lost a singles match to Damien Sandow.
Is that really surprising?
No, not in the least. And then Tensai beat Cody Rhodes, which was a little bit of a surprise, but again, clearly this is a feud that they're invested in continuing. And my thought is, like, this is the same feud that they said wasn't good enough. Basically said wasn't good enough for the WrestleMania card.
Well, they didn't say that wasn't good enough. I think that they just ran out of time.
But,
I mean,
yeah.
They invested a lot into that WrestleMania card.
They did.
I mean, and I can see a match going a little bit too long, but Jesus Christ, guys, the last match with The Rock and Cena, where there was like at least 12 rest holds in it.
And I think we understand why there were 12 rest holds now, because now we know that Rock was hurt.
Yeah.
So now we understand why there were so many rest holds.
We understand why there was, but I mean, shorten it up.
Yeah, and
if The Rock is hurt, I mean, you might as well just go with it and do something spectacular. And of course, The Rock is one magical guy, and he can wrestle his friggin' brains out, and he can. He's just awesome, snicker.
Right, exactly. Exactly. We love Rocky's in ring.
Just fucking end it.
Here's my thing about this. I don't understand why you couldn't find in that show. How long was that show? 4 hours?
Close to.
You couldn't find 5 minutes, entrances included, in that 4-hour span to pigeonhole in that match. I don't know. I still don't.
Even on the pre-show where they like an hour-long pre-show, they had what? 10 minutes for a pre-show match?
Yeah, exactly. I think it was like 8 minutes and something. But like I don't know. I don't accept that as an excuse. You know what I mean? I don't accept that the biggest and arguably best wrestling company in the world couldn't find 5 minutes in a 4-hour show. I think WWE's production value is so much better than that. So I don't know. I couldn't believe it. But in any case, so you have this feud that got cut from WrestleMania. Apparently this is a feud that's actually going to continue because they're having them in singles matches and nothing is really decided in those singles matches. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you have one teammate wins and one teammate loses. So clearly it looks like this is a feud that's going to keep going.
Right.
Is this a feud that we want to see keep going?
Well, I mean, I'm not really fond of Tons of Funk.
Right.
I mean, I like Albert as a wrestler.
Prince Albert?
Yeah. I'm wasn't very fond of Brodus Clay. Back before, I mean, when he wasn't Brodus Clay.
Right.
And now.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm kind of for it, but I'm really not invested into the whole tag team.
Fair enough. I mean, I tell you something, when Brodus Clay first, like the debut night that he debuted that gimmick, that he debuted the Funkasaurus gimmick, I loved it. I marked out so hard for it because I was just like, you know what? This is what fun professional wrestling is supposed to be. You got a guy that's just doing it. And you know what? Maybe it's a little Shikara-ish. Maybe it shouldn't have. Maybe it was like a little Shikara-ish, and maybe it shouldn't have been in WWE. And I can understand that criticism, but I don't know. It worked for me when he first debuted it. The shine has kind of come off of it as it's been going. You know what I mean? Like it's still sort of. It's just not really what it was when it started,
right?
Because it hasn't developed, right? Adding Cameron and Naomi to it as like the Funkadactyls or whatever doesn't really add anything to it. And the worst thing about it to me is they're trying to pass them off as wrestlers, and that's ridiculous. I haven't seen anything from either one of these girls that indicates to me that they're good wrestlers,
right?
But commentary is trying to convince us that I think Cameron especially is a good wrestler, and I don't know, I just don't see it. But beyond that, I don't mind Tons of Funk. I'm glad that they gave Tensai a reason to be at least somewhat relevant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because nobody fucking cared about Tensai.
No,
nobody. As soon as he lost his first match, nobody cared about him anymore.
When he came in, nobody cared about him.
Well,
they were just like A-Train.
A little bit, but like when he first came in and he was wrecking shop and nobody could touch him, at least it's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then he lost the match to Super Cena, and then all of a sudden it was just like, well, okay, that's done, I guess, because he lost a match. Luckily, the same thing hasn't happened with Ryback. We'll get to Ryback later on because Ryback played an integral part of this show, obviously, as the number one contender for the WWE Championship, but we'll get to that in a little bit. just to kind of finish off on this feud with Tons of Funk and the Rhodes Scholars, which, by the way, I'm so happy the Rhodes Scholars are back. I just think they're I think they're a great tag team.
Absolutely.
I just think they're so good. They play off each other so well. Like, they're one of those teams that's like, they're a team like the Hollywood Blondes, or they're a team like a team like even something like like CM Punk and Kofi Kingston back in the day. Like, it's a team that just goes together, and they just go together and they work so well together. It's just great to see them. You know what I mean? And they're really good individual competitors. That's perfectly fine, and I love them as individual competitors, but they're just really good as a tag team. They're like friggin' Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart. Like, they're good individual wrestlers, but they're so good as a tag team.
Absolutely.
So I'm so happy that Rhodes Scholars is back. To finish it off, does this feud need the tag titles? Does this feud between the two of them need the tag team championship to be relevant, to have people care about it?
No.
You don't think so?
Because even with the tag team titles, I mean, sure, I would love Team Rhodes Scholars to have the tag team titles.
I think we both thought they should have had the tag titles 6 months ago.
They deserve it so much.
Yep.
Just by, like you said, how they play off one another, their abilities in the ring, out of the ring on the microphones. It's just awesome.
Just perfect. Yep.
So, I mean, I would love them to have the belts. As for Tons of Funk, Brodus Clay, and Tensai, not so much.
Yeah, I see them as well, I mean, I see them for what they are, which is a gimmick tag team. But yeah, with the tag titles, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think I'd know.
No.
Do you remember back in the day? When Albert and Test were a tag team? Did they ever have the belts? Do you ever remember them having the tag titles? Back when they were like TNA with Trish Stratus as their manager or whatever, did they ever have the tag belts?
I don't think so, but
I didn't think.
But I may be wrong.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I can't remember whether they actually had the tag belts or not. But like, I would just think like, what a weird thing it would be for WWE to be saying if like Test and Albert never had the tag titles, but Albert and Brodus Clay did. Like, it would just seem kind of weird to me. So, you know, I guess I would actually argue that I would like to see the tag titles in this feud, but I would not like to see the tag titles on Tons of Funk.
God, no.
You know what I mean? Like, I would like to see this feud be continued in a tag team title tournament. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
but this of course presumes that Team Hell No would have broken up and all this stuff. So,
well, not even broken up per se, just lost the titles.
Just lost the belts at some point. But in any case, that's not going to happen, and they're running with Team Hell No as the tag champs, and you know what? This is perfectly fine. It's just something you got to kind of resign yourself to. Dolph Ziggler and Chris Jericho had a match where the winner between the two of them, or no, sorry, if Jericho won the match, he was going to be inserted in the World Heavyweight Championship match at Extreme Rules,
right? Which
is already a triple threat with Del Rio and Jack Swagger, but would have made it a fatal four-way,
right?
So if Jericho won the match, it was going to be a fatal four-way. Obviously, Jericho doesn't win the match. He's interrupted by Fandango music. Yes, we just fandangoed on the Last Fan Standing podcast.
What?
So this match happened. Dolph and Jericho work so well together. God, they're good.
Yeah.
Just like Dolph and Jericho in a match together. Just fucking brilliant.
Jericho goes for her, and Dolph is just like, I got no feeling in my body.
Exactly.
So put me anywhere.
I have no bones, so just do whatever you want. So, of course, Fandango's music plays, distracts Jericho, and Dolph Ziggler gets the pinfall victory, which you could even call it a clean win because it's not like Fandango interfered in the match himself.
No, it's just his music hit.
So it was kind of clean, kind of not. But so Jericho is not in the title match for Extreme Rules. However, I get the feeling that Dolph versus Jericho is going to be a feud that we're going to see in the immediate future, like with the title attached to it.
Oh, for sure.
Like after,
I mean, I could see even Jericho, like as you said, the title being in the picture, Jericho going for the title.
Absolutely,
because of course Jericho always wants the title.
Moving on, we had a singles match between Big E Langston and Zack Ryder, a dressed down Zack Ryder. They almost look like they took some of the broski out of Zack Ryder's gimmick, right? Like he didn't have the gelled hair, he didn't have the headband, he didn't have his little Z True Long Island Story blah 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 camera or whatever. Well, he didn't really have any of his gimmicks. He just kind of walked out.
It was a squash match.
Well, it was, yeah, that's true. But at the same time, even if you're in a squash match, you'd think if you're keeping the same gimmick, you would stick with the same gimmick until you're told you're not keeping it anymore. That would almost kind of maybe lead me to believe maybe we're going to see a gimmick change for Zack Ryder.
Quite possibly. I mean, it'd be nice to see because he's been coming out week after week and doing the exact same thing.
But that's the problem. He hasn't been coming out week to week.
Boring.
Like, he hasn't been on TV in a while. But people were pretty pumped to see him on TV, even if they pretty much knew he was going to get squashed by Big E. So Big E Langston comes out with a new entrance. The music was the same, but he comes out with a new entrance. He had all that chalk on his hands.
Yeah.
And he was like clapping, basically.
Yay.
So, yay, I'm wrestling. And the chalk dust was going everywhere and all that bullshit. And then he just sort of walks through it. And commentary's like high selling it. They're like, oh, he does that to make reference to his weightlifting background. It's just like those muscles are roid muscles. Those are not weight. Maybe he can lift weights now because he jacked himself up on steroids. So of course he can. It was a squash match. What can you expect from a squash match, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, okay, whatever. It was a squash match. Certainly wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen because it wasn't a fucking Divas match, but it certainly wasn't the best thing I've ever seen.
2 out of 10.
Way. 2 out of 10, yeah, probably something like that. Big E to me is a guy that's just a lot of high impact moves and a relatively interesting finisher, and that's it.
His finisher isn't even that interesting.
Maybe not. I guess it was interesting the first couple times you saw it, and then after that, it just kind of, whatever. A Stone Cold Stunner, it ain't. But
no. God no.
It's it kind of makes him stand out. It's a different finisher, so it kind of makes him stand out, I guess. But that's pretty much the only thing about him besides his big steroid tits that really make him stand out. I do actually see, or I kind of hope that we see kind of Big E kind of turn on Dolph or whatever. I'd like to see him turn on Dolph and go after AJ.
You know what? And this is kind of one of my matches that I'm going to link it out.
Wait, Nick books it.
I'm going to leak it out because we are going to do a dream match card, you and me both, and this is one of my matches. It's going to be Dolph Ziggler versus Big E Langston with AJ in his corner.
Interesting.
So they're all going to turn on him. AJ's going to go for Big E.
Well, why wouldn't she?
Oh, big old black
cock. Oops. We had a little No Holds Barred podcast slip over here, but that's okay.
There was a little bit more than a slip.
Yeah, it would be more than a slip. It would be maybe you might slip once and then it's just wrecked. Who said that? Yeah, so that would be interesting. But really, I think that's the only way Big E's character becomes relevant at all.
Right.
Because he's just kind of there. He's just a big black dude in the background. Which later on in this podcast, when we talk to our good friend Gabe Vinyls, I'm sure he'll be making mention of something along those lines because we're going to be talking about minorities in professional wrestling. So it'll be very interesting to hear his comments on that. Moving on, we had the 6-man tag match. Sorry.
Yeah.
We had the Shield, Believe in the Shield, taking on Team Hell No with The Undertaker. Undertaker's first time in a match on Raw in over 3 years.
He held his own.
I thought he looked good.
Oh, yeah.
I was very pleasantly surprised, but I feel like this is one of those things where WWE found themselves smack dab in the middle of a Deus Ex Machina, which basically means they found themselves in the middle of a situation where there's really no good way out of it, because if you have The Undertaker coming back for the first time in 3 years,
yeah,
and on the other side you have The Shield, who's never lost a match.
True.
It made it compelling, but from a creative standpoint, it's like, well, okay, shit, what do we do?
Yeah,
It's
the
Taker-
Undertaker can't lose, but the Shield can't lose.
Right. It's like, it's Taker's first match back in 3 years. Are we going to have him lose on Raw? And on the other side, we got this hot product in the Shield. Are we going to have them lose when they haven't lost yet? Shit, what do we do?
Yeah.
So basically they wrote it that, Taker, who obviously, of course, is a company guy, and we'll kind of talk about this a little more in a second, Undertaker's team, I shouldn't say Taker, I should say Undertaker's team, is the one that ends up losing the match. I can't remember who got pinned. Do you remember who got pinned?
I want to say Kane.
I think it might have been Kane too. Or no, was it Kane or Daniel Bryan?
Because
it wasn't The Undertaker.
The ending of the match, I thought Daniel Bryan was up on the ropes ready to do his
Headbutts.
Chris Benoit headbutt.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them knocked him down, and he cradled his balls on the turnbuckle.
Oh, okay, yes.
Fell out, and Kane got pinned.
Could very well have been. So in any case, they have Undertaker lose his first match on Raw in 3 years, but he didn't have to get pinned. So right. I guess that's okay.
It works.
At the same time, it's just like, okay, well, Team Hell No took that loss, but whatever. Kind of leads me to my next question, which is, do wins and losses at this point matter for The Undertaker?
I don't think so.
I agree with you 100%.
He's pretty much at the point in the company where he can go in and wrestle a banana in the ring.
Right.
And people will be like, yeah!
Sweet, it's The Undertaker. And you know what? He could let that banana go over on him.
Yeah.
And people would still be like, hey, yay, it's The Undertaker. I think outside of the WrestleMania streak, wins and losses don't matter for Taker.
Yeah.
Within the WrestleMania streak, within the paradigm of the WrestleMania streak, wins and losses matter.
For sure.
Because it's a streak. So wins obviously matter. But yeah, I totally agree with you. You can put him on pay-per-view and he can lose a match on pay-per-view, just sort of in terms of the streak, not Mania. But yeah, I think I agree with you 100% there. I don't think wins and losses on Raw probably don't matter too much. It's not like people are going to be like, oh look, Undertaker lost on Raw, what a scrub, right?
Yeah.
Right? Nobody's really going to say that, except maybe Masked Tweeter. We know he doesn't like Undertaker all that much, but yeah, pretty much. I pretty much agree with you there. There was actually a lot of the Shield on Raw. The Shield was on Raw in at least 4 segments.
They had them landing in their fancy dancy helicopter,
which I actually thought was kind of cool. I didn't think the editing was all that well done on that segment,
really,
because
no.
They landed the helicopter and then the very next shot is like camera guy right in the face, and it's just like, well, where the fuck did he come from? Because it was an immediate cut and then the fuck door opened. So like, well, okay, well that's bad editing, but okay. But yeah, so they had the helicopter landing, which I thought was cool, and then they got in the Land Rover, I think it was, which is a nice touch. They had them in the backstage segment when they attacked Team Hell No,
right,
prior to the match. Then, of course, they had their match.
I mean, who attacked Hell No? We didn't see their faces.
Oh, we don't know.
We only saw their feet.
Combat boots. Who else wears fucking combat boots besides the guys in the Shield? Who could it have been? It must have been John Cena. No, it was fucking Shield. Like, it's pretty obvious, right? Unless Cena is now wearing combat boots. He is the chain gang soldier, so who knows? Maybe he'll start. So they had their match, and they had their moment in the last segment where they came down when Cena and Ryback were in the ring.
Right.
Is too much of a good, or I should pose it this way. Is it too much of a good thing to see the Shield 4 times on Raw? Like, considering their gimmick.
Right.
Where their gimmick is just kind of like, we could show up from anywhere, but like now they're having
a dramatic influence.
Like a dramatic, well, even a dramatic entrance, like a
yeah.
choreographed entrance, and like, was seeing them 4 times on Raw too much?
In my mind, yes. I mean, it's almost like they're trying to really force it, like throw it in your face. And I know people like the Shield. I mean, I like the Shield, but I don't like the Shield enough to see them that much.
Yeah, I think 4 appearances on the show was a little too much. I'm all for the Shield having a match on Raw and maybe doing something else.
Right.
Maybe even doing a third thing. But when you start sort of almost oversaturating it, like the Shield makes an impact when they show up. But when you start predicting that they're going to show up 3-4 times a night, it kind of takes a little bit of the shine off of it. You know what I mean? So, the 4 times in one show, probably a little much. I sincerely hope that they kind of draw it back in the future. I'd also like to see the Shield show up a little bit more on SmackDown.
That would be nice.
Because they have shown up a time or two, I believe. But I really want it to bring back, I really want them to bring back that idea that, like, the Shield could show up anytime, anywhere. I'd like to see the Shield show up on NXT.
Oh, for sure.
Whoever,
but I mean, I don't think it will happen because of course you got to realize that SmackDown is the B-rate show,
right?
And
SmackDown is the B-rate show.
B-, yeah. And then you got NXT, which is it's kind of down there in the ratings,
right? Arguably a better show, but not nearly as many people watching it.
So I mean, for now, if it's working on Raw and everybody's watching Raw more, then keep it going. It's if something works, you don't want to change the formula and have it crash or die on you. It's just it would probably never happen because they're most relevant on Raw. But,
right.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. But I guess we're both in agreement. 4 times on the show, probably a little too much.
Too much.
A little too much.
Absolutely too much.
Because I want to keep, as long as I possibly can, I want to keep that luster about the Shield showing up. Like every time the Shield shows up, it's gotta be Impact, right? Yeah. So I mean, when they show up 4 times in one show, it's only a 3-hour show, so they're showing up like every 45 minutes. It's a little much.
Too much.
A little much.
Although you can never have that much Seth Rollins.
No, that's true. He's pretty fucking awesome.
He's pretty fucking awesome.
I'm even coming around on Roman Reigns, who's like, Roman Reigns is like the Batista of that group. Like he's like the big muscle, and that's pretty much it. But I'm even coming around on him. I like his in ring. I think his in ring is improving. So. And his screams aren't nearly as stupid as Brock Lesnar's, so I'm okay with that. He's like Tarzan. So moving on from the Shield, we had Fandango actually having a match with William Regal, of all people, which made sense because they were in England.
True.
So William Regal's music plays, and obviously, of course, he gets the big hometown pop, which makes sense because they love William Regal in England, as they should. Regal is a great talent, a guy that was never really given as much of a push on television as he probably deserved. But again, Regal, very, very good, very, very good talent. Fandango goes over on him clean, relatively quick match. It certainly wasn't a barn burner.
God, no.
But here's what bugged me about it. Prior to the match, I can't remember if it was Cole. I think it was Cole. Michael Cole called William Regal, quote, an entertainer.
Really?
Yes. And I get it. I get what they're doing. I get they're trying to continually brand themselves as sports entertainment rather than as professional wrestling. I get that. But it's a kick in the balls to a guy like William Regal. And I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here, and I apologize. But it's a kick in the balls to a guy like William Regal, who is one of the toughest, stiffest workers that it certainly is in WWE right now, and one of the toughest and stiffest guys of this era. Guys like him, guys like Fit Finlay, guys like Chris Benoit were very, very, very stiff competitors. And to call a guy like William Regal an entertainer, I don't know. Something about that just bugged me. It just, I don't know, it got under my skin. It probably shouldn't have, but it got under my skin.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, William Regal, he's been around forever.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's held countless titles.
Yes. Even in WWE.
Even in WWE. And, I mean, say that about him is just, yeah.
I just thought it was a kick in the nuts.
It's like calling The Undertaker an entertainer.
Which you could even call Undertaker. Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. But they would never do that with Taker, because Taker's one of their guys.
Yeah.
Right? Because they'd always be like, oh, one of the greatest professional wrestlers. But then you look at it, they take a guy like Regal and they think they can get away with calling him an entertainer. I don't know. It bugged me. Kind of silly, but whatever. So Fandango goes over Regal clean. Jericho gets his revenge post-match. Fandango's dancing up the aisle with his random blonde-haired British dancer slut, and Jericho attacks him from behind, and of course it's kind of funny because Jericho was on Dancing with the Stars, so he invites the little blonde British dancing slut to dance with him, and they kind of get together and they have this moment. It's just like, this is kind of hot, and then they do their little dance, whatever, and Fandango's like down on the aisle below the ramp, and he's looking up at him, and he's like reaching up, and he's like, no, like Darth Vader at the end of Revenge of the Sith, just no. And exactly, Revenge of the Sith reference.
Oh yeah.
So it was kind of funny to see that, and kind of funny to see Jericho kind of get his one up on Fandango, which it looks like that's a feud that's going to continue, and that was okay because the quality of the match at WrestleMania was all right.
It was all right.
It was all right.
Nothing to write home about.
No, I want to see more of Fandango. I want to see him put in a match where he really has to go all out and really has to show what he has.
Yeah. Because
Jericho has done that countless times, but we haven't seen that from Fandango yet, because he's really only had 2 or 3 matches. So I really want to see Fandango be put in a position where he's got to go all out.
Right, absolutely. It'd be nice, because we haven't seen Fandango's full potential.
Fandangles?
Yeah.
Fandangles.
Fandangles.
That's what he calls his nutsack. Fandangles.
They're fantastic.
The fantastic Fandangles.
Fantastic Fandangles.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the line, we have a buddy of mine from way back. We have Mr. Gabe Vinyls, who myself and another friend of mine, Tyler Seelig, refer to as our big black friend.
I'm not even black, bro.
I know, but compared to us, Gabe is a producer and audio engineer, and also the CEO of the Dungeon Recording Studio in New York. Is that correct?
Yes, I am, sir.
Yes, right on.
We're going long and strong now. Yeah. I'm also a brown lover. Brown lover.
You are also a brown lover. That is true. Shit.
True.
Good
So yeah,
stuff.
you guys are awesome. Thank you for having me. You know, it's really awesome, and I'm literally running my errands as I'm talking to you guys, and so there's going to be some noise. I hope you don't mind.
It's okay, man. Don't worry about that at all. So you came on. You had a couple things that you wanted to talk about based in the world of professional wrestling. So why don't we start off? You had some comments you wanted to make on some recent injuries that had been happening.
Yes. Sure. Actually, the Rock injury, I was kind of surprised because I myself have been going through a weight transformation. I know, Justin, I've seen your Facebook post too, and I see that you're also going through a weight transformation. And, you know, just to see how big the Rock has gotten and to see a simple injury. He got an injury. I remember you talking about the post about Michael Bay talking crap about The Rock getting injured. But when you really think about it, he used to perform that his finishing move like on a nightly basis. And, you know, when your body goes through transformations, like, you know, when you look at Rock circa 97 or circa even 2001, and then you look at Rocky now, it's a completely different person.
Oh,
so,
no comparison at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like ridiculous. So, I mean, you know, I know that people should probably be more respectful and keep their mouths shut when it comes to injuries and things like that. But in particular, when it comes to The Rock, like, I feel like he's a part-time wrestler with a full-time salary, and probably more.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I would venture a guess that it's probably a lot more than full-time salary. Yeah.
Probably more than A-Rod. You never know.
Well,
but you know, it's crazy to see how fast he got surgery and he's gonna bounce back soon. But you look at dudes like Evan Bourne, and he's been out for like what, almost a year, I think, maybe a little under.
It was pretty close. And Evan Bourne, it was a little bit of extra stuff too, because he had I know he had flunked the wellness policy once or twice, so there was a little extra added onto that as well. But yeah, no, absolutely. Evan Bourne has been out for quite a little while with various injuries, and now of course CM Punk is out as well because of injuries sustained at WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, that guy's been working through so many nagging injuries, just like Cena, and you know, I don't know how those guys do it. I mean, they've been working out for the past couple of weeks to like the past 2 weeks now, and you know, my hurts, and I'm not nearly as physical as these guys. And these guys go out there and do house shows, they do dark matches. Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly.
They really beat the hell out of themselves.
Yeah, the pace that some of the top guys, like the real workhorses, the pace that they cut is just insane. So yeah, but yeah, it does seem like WWE, certainly at the top of its roster anyway, has been bit by the injury bug. You know, maybe a little too often, and you got to wonder, some of these guys that get injured but come back very quickly, even though there is the wellness policy in place, you always got to wonder if it's, you know, steroid influenced in any way.
I mean, you know what? It could be many things. Like, you know, Jack Swagger recently got a DWI for driving under the influence of marijuana.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so I mean, there are always other factors that play into these wellness policies, because, you know, I think something as simple as marijuana, if that shows up into your bloodstream, I'm pretty sure you just pay a fine, as opposed to like cocaine or any of the heavier drugs. You know, that stuff will really mess you up. Like, you know, these policies are also kind of strict because these guys are being told that they need to maintain a physical appearance, and, you know, being on a global stage every day is a lot of pressure, and sometimes it leads them to make the wrong decisions and take the wrong stuff. You know what I mean?
No question about it. You would never be under the influence of marijuana, would you, Gabe?
Absolutely not. Never. Never, ever. Never. Like, I never even looked at this stuff, bro. Seriously? I don't even know what the fuck, how to spell marijuana. Seriously.
As an aside, you should check out the Dungeon Studios videos on YouTube. Why don't you hit them with your YouTube page?
Oh, it's just youtube.com/Dungeon Studio NYC. You could even just Google or you could YouTube my name, actually, Gabriel Vinals, and it'll come up with a couple of skits and other extra things I do too, because I also act on the side. I'm in a web series called Beg, Borrow, Steal. So we just released one of the we released like another mini pilot episode called Super Bigfoot versus Rape Gorilla. So you guys should really yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Super Bigfoot versus Rape Gorilla.
Nice. Excellent.
Yeah.
You wanted to comment as well, Gabe, on Stone Cold Steve Austin. Was that right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think the reason why Taker didn't drop the streak at WrestleMania was because they're saving up for Austin Punk. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
I think there was like one of Stone Cold's friends too just like released a tweet saying that Stone Cold's, you know, he would entertain the right offer to come back. But I mean, that guy's rich as fuck anyway. Well, sorry, I don't know if I could curse, but
oh, that's fine, sir.
All right, so that motherfucker's rich as fuck. So, you know, I don't know what the right offer would be for Austin, but my theory on that is like they're saving up for Austin Punk because it would just be like the most badass match in history. I mean, really think about it. The Undertaker and CM Punk match wasn't bad, but there are obvious limitations, and the Undertaker has his own style and CM Punk has his style, which is largely, attitude-wise, is kind of based off of Austin as well.
Right.
So I can remember the night when he gave his famous pipe bomb speech. He was wearing a Stone Cold Steve Austin shirt. You know what I mean?
So I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I always love pointing to that as like that's the first seed that was dropped that this Stone Cold and CM Punk match could actually possibly happen.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad you mentioned that.
I mean, dude, I don't know. When you think about all these great wrestlers that are getting older and older, like Rocky's making too much money to be a professional wrestler. Mm-hmm. The Undertaker's doing his best to hang in there. Like that guy is still wrestling, And that to me is crazy. I thought Taker would have been actually like one of the first guys to actually just retire, because we all know how thinged up he is, and he's he's not a spring chicken.
No, I think
he's been wrestling for.
I think he's 48.
Yeah, he's probably he's like 48 or something. Him and Kevin Nash are about the same age, I think.
Right.
And the Undertaker looks way better than Kevin Nash. That motherfucker don't even take care of himself.
It's true. Although I was happy to hear that Undertaker actually got a couple of like the surgeries that he needed, and so like he actually took it seriously when he knew he was going to come back and knew he was going to do another match and maybe do a couple more matches down the line too, that he actually took it seriously, got a couple of the surgeries that he needed, and so he could actually get in the ring and could actually perform and not just be one of these guys that is doing it but really can't do it anymore.
Right. I get you. That's totally true. Kane, I also read an interview, since we're talking about Undertaker, Kane as well. He takes the same approach. I've read in many interviews that he is always taking care of himself, and he's got to watch out. And all these guys they're all troopers.
Oh yeah, for sure, no question about it.
Hey, what's that guy named? That guy who was pretty fight on Raw? He fought. Yeah, he wrestled Zack Ryder. Was the Big E Langdon or Langston or some shit?
Yeah, Big E.
That motherfucker has bigger titties than my fucking pregnant friend, yo.
I know, man. It's fucking. He is steroided like a motherfucker.
He's the epitome of juice, bro.
Oh, there's no fucking question about
illegal.
that.
Zeke should be fucking illegal. Listen, how did you pass wellness, buddy? Okay.
Yeah, really.
There's no way you have enough time to eat 35 Metrix bars an hour. Okay, that's bullshit.
Who fucking pissed in that cup for you to pass wellness?
Shit. Must have been his son.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are here with a good friend of mine, Gabe Vinyls, and I know I'm mispronouncing his last name. Gabe, do you want to correct me on the pronunciation of your last name?
I pronounce my last name is just Vinyls. That's it.
Vinyls? Okay, right on.
Yeah.
So there we go. You learn something new every day.
So talking about... Sorry.
You know what, man? You're in New York.
Pretty
it's
much.
Understandable. We were talking about the way that WWE tends to stereotype minorities in their performers, and you wanted to make mention of some things about that.
Absolutely. I think I don't know what the WWE is thinking in terms of like talent development and characters. I mean, what made other promotions like WCW so profitable and marketable was that they had something for everybody. And even their black or Hispanic wrestlers, like, yeah, there was a Mexican World Order, yeah, but they made it there. They made it. It wasn't made by creative.
Right.
The wrestlers came together and said, let's make a Mexican World Order because we're that badass. But when wrestlers like Big E comes out and it's always rap music, you know what I mean? And that's kind of insulting to me, That's kind of teaching our children that like every single black wrestler has to come out to hip hop,
Right.
And it's kind of ridiculous. And I feel like if you're not white with blonde hair, blue eyes, with a first name, last name in today's wrestling circuit, you're not gonna go anywhere unless you break the mold. Like there are only a couple of people who broke the mold. Like look at The Rock, he's Polynesian, but also that motherfucker's caramel as hell.
Right.
But he can get away, But like look at guys like Shelton Benjamin, clearly held back because they didn't know what to do with him.
Right.
They just didn't know. Well, you're a black wrestler. Well, we don't know if we want a black and white feud. Like these guys talk about that in their development meetings. It's very clear. because whenever you watch the main event, it's never a black dude versus a white guy. It's always a black dude versus a black dude. It's always, a white dude versus a white dude, or it's always a white dude beating down a black dude, or it's always going to be like a black dude wins over the white guy in like a dirty pin. Like he'll grab the tights and get the 3 count, like bullshit like that. And that's what kind of gets me. I mean, I'm glad on Raw that Big E got to squish Zack Ryder, but I wouldn't have done it that way, because Zack Ryder is actually a great talent that deserves to beat the shit out of Big E.
Right.
But that kind of ticks me off about the WWE, is that blatant contrast. It's like, okay, you establish that this guy's coming out to rock music and he looks like a white dude and this and that, and this dude's coming out to rap music and he has to have an afro fade and a cut. You know what I mean? So that kind of bothers me.
So and you know what? And it's not like this is something that like, oh, we only saw like a few years ago and they don't do now. Look at the primetime players. The primetime players are just walking fucking stereotypes.
Exactly. Yeah. Those guys too. I mean, it's like I said, it's clear that these guys in creative don't know what to do. Like, I don't know if they're wrestling fans or not up there, but I feel like the product is becoming so watered down to the point where even Ryback, when Ryback was talking shit to Foley and he called Foley a fat bastard, and everyone's like, oh, like, we've really gone that far from what professional wrestling used to be to what it is now.
Right. Yeah. Oh, exactly. No question about it.
Moving a little bit away from this question, can you, or are you seeing the change in Big E where he's going to ultimately turn on Dolph Ziggler?
I don't know. I see him as a slave.
Yeah?
Yeah, come on. You come out, you're accompanying the world champion, you're a big black dude, you're telling me that you don't have enough balls to break away from yourself? Like it's really not, again, it's stereotyping, like black guy has to be under the white dude has to have the title, the black guy has to handle the white dude's business. That's just how it is.
And you can even look at something like Evolution when they had a guy like Batista, clearly not 100% Caucasian. He looks like I don't know if he's a little bit Hispanic or whatever he is, but that was the same deal in Evolution. Who was the guy on top of Evolution? Triple H, pure Connecticut blue blood white guy. And you had Batista, who he was the muscle, he was the heavy, and was the only guy in that group who could even pass relatively close to being any kind of ethnic. And that's that's basically the role that they had Batista in.
I agree with you to an extent, because
okay.
by the way, Batista's Filipino.
Oh, is he? Okay.
The thing about that is, yeah, he's Filipino. But the thing about that is, if you're dark, like if you're a minority, like I said, you look at The Rock and even guys like Batista, those guys aren't too dark. You know what I mean? Those guys aren't really, how you say, black.
Right.
The Rock is Polynesian. He's an islander. He's like, I think, Samoan or something like that. He's Polynesian. And then you have also Batista, who's from another island. He's from the Philippines. They're not that dark, complexion-wise. And
right.
Also, when Evolution was together, I think the first person they turned on was actually Randy Orton.
That is true. Yeah, absolutely.
So I feel like dudes like Batista and Rocky, they have more say and they have more leeway in what they're doing and what they can do, because they're a minority, but they're just getting away with it because they're technically, they're light enough to be on TV. Basically, that's what I'm saying. They're light enough to be on TV for more than 5 minutes.
Fair enough.
Big E doesn't get a mic, but granted, he doesn't have any. Yeah, but Big E doesn't get a mic, but that's because I think he doesn't have any mic skills to begin with.
It's true. We've heard him talk a few times, and it's just it hasn't been good.
Yeah, man. I mean, current state, basically, when it comes to racism, or I guess subliminal stereotyping in the WWE, I guess it has to do with the current state of the talent and what they're trying to do with it. Because if you remember back to Royal Rumble, when the Hardys and the Dudley Boys and everybody would get together and beat the shit out of each other, on the TLC matches, Devon Dudley was the only brother there, and that was all their matches were always main event quality. You know what I mean? The Dudleys, and even today, the Dudleys, Devon and Bully Ray, even today in an alternative product, they look better than they did back in the day, and they're doing just as good. And it's like, Devon is still in the mold. He's still on top. He's still the face. He's still the face of whatever he's doing, and he's not. He's not being held back by an invisible ceiling, as in the WWE, where they're like, okay, you're a tag team. If we split up the Dudleys, they're done because Devon, we can't do anything with you.
Right.
And because Bubba's marketable. Bubba Ray or Bully Ray, he's marketable. Why? Because he's a white dude.
Yeah, well, and even in WWE when Devon was, I don't know if he was injured or whatever he was, Bubba actually got a little something at least of the singles push. But I'm sure if the roles would have been reversed, it would have been probably Devon. We have nothing for you. So I think you're probably spot on with that.
Thank you. I mean, I'm just going based on my observation of how the WWE rolls. Excuse me. It's just. Especially with those sudden layoffs, like right when the WWF became the WWE, and then they started chopping off all their wrestlers. Like they let go of the Hardys for no reason. They let go of the Dudleys for no reason. They let go of Christian, I think, for no reason too. They let go of Christian. Like a couple of times they let go of Christian.
Yeah, they did release Christian. I think at least once, if not twice.
Yeah, I think it was. I don't know. He's been back and forth between TNA and WWE for a while now, so I really don't know what the fuck that nigga's doing. So,
Gabe, we might get you out of here on this one. Can you tell us some of your absolute? We're talking all time, not just current. Some of your absolute favorite minority professional wrestlers that you've seen either in WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, wherever you happen to have seen them. First of all. My boy Eddie Guerrero for life, because he was not the stereotypical wrestler. I enjoyed watching Eddie Guerrero, so I'd have to go with Eddie for sure. All right, absolutely. Fire away. Give us a couple more. Eddie Guerrero, by the way, I think we both absolutely love. I think Eddie Guerrero was a generational talent. Like he was just great.
Definitely. Who else? La Parka from WCW. La Parka is definitely one of my favorite minority wrestlers, and of course, The Rock.
Right. La Parka is an interesting choice there. That wouldn't have been one that I would have expected you to hear, or that I would have expected to hear. But La Parka is an interesting choice, kind of out of left field, but right on.
Oh, definitely. I mean, this guy is hilarious. He's about my size. He does a whisper in the wind with no problem. You know what I mean? And it's just he's a dead guy. He's a dead skeleton guy. It's the funniest thing in the world to watch. And if you don't have fun watching La Parka, then you're not having fun, period. Because that guy, not only is he a phenomenal wrestler, but they call spots in the ring where it's good for the audience to watch. And, anybody of any age can watch a La Parka match. If you're into like technical wrestling, you're going to get technical wrestling. If you're into lucha libre, you're going to get lucha libre. If you're into just trash talking and dancing around in the ring, that's exactly what La Parka does. He's like one of my favorite all-around wrestlers, for sure, especially minority wrestler.
Very cool, very cool.
That's pretty much it.
All right, right on. And of course, like we said there, you mentioned The Rock, and The Rock is another guy that is probably, if you look at the whole body of work that The Rock has done, he would be another guy that you could probably define as a generational talent in professional wrestling. So The Rock has definitely done a lot in the business, and he's done a lot in the business for wrestlers of a visual minority.
Definitely has. I agree with you 100%. The guy can talk. The guy has the charm. He has the look. He's got everything anybody would want as a professional wrestler.
Excellent. Gabe, I want to thank you very much, buddy, for taking the time out of your schedule. I know you had a busy schedule today to come on and be with us, and we're very happy to have you on here. You're welcome back on the podcast anytime, sir.
Thank you so much. You guys rule. So I'm going to be out of here. You dudes enjoy. And thank you to everybody. Thank you to you guys.
All right, just a reminder to everybody, check out the Dungeon Studio. Look that up on Facebook. Look it up on YouTube. There's some funny shit on there, and this guy has the talent. He's going to be showing it in the next little while. Gabe, thank you very much. We'll talk to you later, brother.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gabe. See you.
Later.
Just one more time, ladies and gentlemen, that was Gabe Vanals. We got the confirmation of the pronunciation of his last name. Gabe Vanals from the Dungeon Studio in New York. Look him up, Dungeon Studio on Facebook, Dungeon Studio NYC, on YouTube. Look up his stuff. Very, very funny stuff, and Gabe is an extremely talented guy. Just a couple more notes here from Raw before we'll go out and close the show. AJ Lee wins a battle royal to become the number one contender for the Divas Championship.
Who cares?
Will be fighting her former bestie. It's my former BFF, Caitlyn, for the Divas title. I don't know if that's at Extreme Rules or if she's just the number one contender at some point. Who knows? Who knows?
Either way, it's a bathroom break.
Fair enough. But like, is this WWE's attempt? Let's just imagine for a second that AJ Lee beats Caitlyn and becomes the Divas champion. Let's just imagine it for a second. I know you had that look on your face like you were constipated, but imagine it for a second.
Okay.
Because AJ Lee's in ring is actually not that bad. But just imagine it for a second.
I'll go with it.
Is this WWE's attempt to like kind of redo the McMahon-Helmsley era? Do you remember the McMahon-Helmsley era?
Yeah.
Where Trips was the WWF champion and Stephanie McMahon was the women's champion? And they were doing the whole like, oh, it's the McMahon-Helmsley era. This could be like, oh, it's the Lee Ziegler era or something like that. Is this like, do you think it's WWE's attempt to recreate that, or do you think it's just kind of a coincidence?
I'm hoping it's not their way of recreating that. I'm hoping that it's just coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm also hoping that I win the lottery.
Well, fair enough. I kind of hope that like if it is WWE's intention that they're going to do that, I really hope it's one of those things where like, do you remember when Triple H and Stephanie McMahon had like their little press conference in the locker room when the McMahon-Helmsley era first started? They had all the guys in the locker room, and they were like up on this pedestal, and it's like, we welcome you to the McMahon-Helmsley era, like in front of all the wrestlers and stuff like that. Only if they go all like totally balls to the wall with it. So they recreate that press conference,
right.
But Biggie Langston's just standing in the back shaking his head like this motherfucker crazy. Like, that's really the only way that I would think it would work, because I would find it really, really funny. So, I mean, I think it would only work if it was intended as kind of a one-off kind of comedy angle sort of thing.
Right.
And they just kind of leave it alone. I think if they try to go all the way and try to actually recreate the McMahon-Helmsley era, I think it would kind of suck. Because I don't think they'd be able to do it nearly as well.
Oh, God, no.
So, you know... But we'll see. Is AJ? Well, you've kind of already answered this question, but is AJ versus Caitlyn worth not going to the bathroom for?
Let me
go to the bathroom and think about it.
Yes.
That's
let me sum this up into a question for you.
Okay.
Is a bathroom break too important to watch AJ Lee and Caitlyn in a match?
I don't know, sir. I don't know how to answer that, because I'm not a huge fan of Caitlyn. I'm not a big fan of Caitlyn.
No, neither am I.
I guess I just don't see the hype. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just not a fan. So who knows? Maybe. I'd like to see them maybe. Let's see if we can pair Caitlyn up with a random guy, maybe Jericho.
Okay.
Pair Caitlyn up with Jericho and have a mixed tag match. Dolph and AJ versus Jericho and Caitlyn.
I would love to see Lita come back.
Lita coming back would be phenomenal.
And wrestling Caitlyn.
I would be really interested, because it's like, because Caitlyn's kind of like the new breed of a Lita style person. Not nearly as good as Lita was, but same sort of breed, same sort of style. Yeah. So, it's just like they say in MMA, styles make fights. So it would actually be kind of interesting.
Which, have you seen the picture? It was from the Iron Man 3. I guess it was the premiere. CM Punk and Lita together.
I didn't see the picture. Yeah, well, they used to date. They dated for a while, and they're still really good friends.
Oh yeah.
Well, you've seen the CM Punk DVD.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, but no, they did. They looked good in pictures that I've seen. I haven't actually seen the Iron Man 3 one, but in pictures that I've seen them together, they look good. They actually look like a couple.
Yeah.
Which so we'll get you out of here on this one. The end of the night, of course, Ryback comes out confronting Mick Foley because of Foley's comments earlier about Ryback making excuses and everything like that. Ryback is about to have a angry moment with Foley, and they're nose to nose, like they're actually going to go.
And then Ryback, this is your life.
This is your life, Ryback. Do you remember this? It's your high school girlfriend. Poontang your ass on out of here. No, you know, it was okay. Foley was good, as he always is on the mic and everything like that. And then, you know, just John Cena comes out and makes... I would have rather seen Mick Foley get squashed by Ryback completely than to see Cena come out. I don't know. Cena comes out and he's just like, he's telling Foley, like, get out of the ring. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. And it's just like, Mick Foley doesn't fucking need your help.
No.
He was thrown off the top of a cell, you moron. What's Ryback going to do to him? Like, he had a tooth driven through his nose. What else? What could Ryback possibly do to him? Unless he burned him alive. Oh, wait, Edge almost did that. Like, I mean, there's literally nothing that Ryback could have done to Foley that he hasn't already survived. So
True.
I just thought it was kind of silly, but you know, whatever. They needed Cena to come out in the final segment, so there you go.
Yeah.
So he comes out and he's just like, you got a problem with me. In that Cena voice that he likes to do. So they look like they're about to go, and then here comes the Shield for their fourth and final segment on the show. So Shield comes down, and this time Cena leaves Ryback in the ring. So Shield are working over Ryback. Cena comes back in with the steel chair that Mick Foley had brought down, or that he had made Mick Foley bring down to the ring. So he comes over with the steel chair, takes out the Shield run away. There, Cena and Ryback are kind of celebrating or whatever a little bit, and then Cena grabs Ryback and hits him with an AA. And that's the way the show ends. The show ends with Ryback all butthurt on the apron. And Cena like, I got one over on you this time. So basically, they're neck and neck, heading towards, anyways, Extreme Rules. So,
all in all, not the best show, but
certainly not the worst.
Not the worst by far.
The crowd was pretty good. The crowd was into it for the majority of the show. They tried to bring back a little bit of that New Jersey crowd, whatever. That New Jersey crowd is never going to be duplicated. It's really not.
Oh God, no.
Because that crowd was just so on fire. So you know, after all this happened, well, first of all, Ryback looks like he's got some new merchandise because he came out wearing that beanie, that hat. Yeah. Actually, looks kind of cool. I don't think I'd buy it. I'm not a big enough Ryback fan to buy it, but looked kind of cool. It looked like he had a new shirt too. Yeah. So. You know what that usually means? WWE gives a guy new merch. It must mean that they're going to continue his push, which is fine. I think it'll be okay.
I guess so.
You know, continuous push, whatevs. They're marketing this match, Ryback versus John Cena for the WWE Championship. They're marketing this match as an epic collision. I can't
see it.
No, I was going to say, are we going to consider this match an epic collision, or are we going to consider it, you know, just something that in ring is probably not going to be the greatest?
Prototype versus Smash.
It's true. Prototype versus the 2013 Goldberg. Like, you know, yeah, okay. Like it's going to be a match. It's going to be a match.
No shit.
Yeah, it's going to be a match that's probably going to look more like a brawl, and it's going to be sort of a glorified hardcore match probably. And Cena's going to go over because you don't take the title off Cena unless it's to, like, I don't know, The Rock, I guess, or CM Punk or whatever. So I don't think Cena's going to lose the title. That's my early prediction. This is not our official sort of Extreme Rules prediction show or anything, because we'll be able to get another Last Fan Standing podcast in before that pay-per-view.
Oh, yes.
So it's not an official prediction, but at this point, I don't see Ryback winning the belt. Maybe I'm wrong in saying that, but probably not. But I don't think this is going to be a good match.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same boat as you. I don't like Cena, and I tolerate Ryback. I don't like him, but I don't hate him as much as I dislike Cena. But I agree with you. I just think it's foolish to take the belt off Cena because everybody loves him so much and he makes the company money.
Right.
So, all in all, in the end,
it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't even matter.
In the end, no. All in all, in the end, what sort of?
It doesn't even matter.
Right.
Cena's gonna win.
Yeah, fair enough. So it looks like we're both on Cena to win the match unless something drastic changes in the next couple of weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 8 of the Last Fan Standing podcast. We want to once again thank our friend Gabe Vanals from the Dungeon Studio in New York City for coming on the podcast and talking some wrestling with us today. We want to thank you very much for taking the time to listen to us. We know this has been a bit of an extra long episode of Last Fan Standing, but we really wanted to get Gabe on to do that interview with him, talk some wrestling with him. Check out the Dungeon Studio NYC on YouTube and look up the Dungeon Studio on Facebook. As always, I think we have a couple of closing words from our good friend, the Iron Sheik.
You are the ugly person.
You shouldn't talk about Gabe like that. Gabe was nice enough to come on our show. Just like you're nice enough to come on our show every week. What do you have to say?
Better than nothing.
All right. That's probably a good point. It was better than just having to listen to the two of us.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 8 of the Last Fan Standing podcast. I'm Justin.
I'm Nick.
Excellent. Next week, of course, I believe we'll be coming back probably with a episode of No Holds Barred. That's more than likely what will happen anyways. So we will see you guys next time. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Peace out for another week.
Later. Sweet.